Welcome to Doomscroll. I am Lisa Curry.
Hey, and I'm Matt Sheffield. So there's a ton of political news today and this week, and we got a lot, so we'll get right into it. Obviously, on Monday was the Iowa caucuses of the Republican Party, and it was just like so much chaos in these things. Like normally, the Iowa caucuses are a joke, and this year was
Mhm.
no exception. um, there was, and like since this is Donald Trump's party, it was just one thing after another of bullshit. My favorite, though, had to be that the Republican Party in Iowa, in a lot of these caucuses, there's no privacy in the voting, there's no security, and they were putting their votes in paper bags.
Yeah, into a
Yeah.
paper lunch or like a grocery bag. This is amazing.
Yes, this is the party of election integrity, folks.
This is also this is how you vote for, student president of your student body, not how you vote for president of the United States. But it's
Yeah.
also like it's funny to see that this happened and then Ron DeSantis isn't challenging it because all these psychos, all they do is spend their time saying
Hmm.
there was fraudulent voting. So you would think that he would speak up, him or Vivek Ramaswamy, who is finally out.
Oh God, yes, yeah. No, it's true. They have whined and complained for years now about supposed election fraud, voter fraud,
Mhm.
and then they do this. But of course, the reality is they do it this way because they know that this is Republicans voting, and so they can be trusted.
Yeah,
uh,
of course. They're
that's
just
really what this is.
upstanding citizens in a way that Democrats are not. So,
Yep, and I guess since the room was filled with white people and not any black people or Hispanic people there, then you can know it's safe in that way,
exactly.
also.
That's yeah, that's the big. You know what was killing me too, by the way, is everybody freaking. Obviously, Trump was going to win it, but all the panic around him winning it, as though there's a better alternative. Like
Hmm.
Ron DeSantis is also as scary. It's also scary to think that he would be president. It's also scary to think that Nikki Haley would be president. None of these people are good options. Although, like I've said from day one, let the record show, I've said from day one that Ramaswamy was just a troll, and I don't think he was ever seriously running for president. I think he just was out there saying the wildest shit possible so that he can get a lot of traction, so that he can get his own TV show. And I think he's going to do that. I think he'll be on Fox News or
Oh
OAN or
yeah.
one of those by
Oh
March
God, yeah.
probably.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he wants. Yeah, because
Hmm.
there was no way that he was going to win, as a non-Christian Indian guy. Like that
Hmm.
has no chance in the Republican Party. They're never going to vote for that. And in fact,
Yeah,
there were so many
no matter
stories
how
coming out.
outlandish your comments are.
No, it's true. And people, no, it was funny. I was reading this one story and people were talking about, oh, I think he's a Muslim. And even though he literally says in his stump speech every
Hmm.
time, I am a Hindu, it was about taking votes away from these other people.
Hmm.
I think that's what it was. And so, yeah, no, he's sitting out. But Ron DeSantis, though, is vowing to stay in it, which is just absurd. And we had another thing with him that was hilarious. The progressive comedy duo, the Good Liars, they gave Ron DeSantis a participation trophy.
What? Nothing's gonna stop us.
Real quick, before we get started, thank you, everyone. Governor DeSantis, I want to present to you this participation trophy. Now, probably not going to win the election, right? But we're proud of you for trying. There you go.
Trophy. Sorry, buddy.
No, but, I mean,
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
he's special, he's unique, and he's our little snowflake. Thank you. Here you go. Did you want the award? We're so proud to give you.
It's so good because he just looks so defeated in the video. He looks so sad, and, as you were saying right before we started recording, for a lifetime bully, what you gotta if you're gonna dish it out, you have to be able to take it. That's rule number 1. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut. Don't be so mean to people.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
couldn't
no,
handle it.
exactly. And it was also funny that it was his wife, Casey, who actually,
Mhm.
she literally stood in front of him to protect him.
It's
Which, and it's like, yeah, it goes back to what I think it was last week that we were talking about how that she made him pronounce their last name different. Like this woman definitely runs the show in that family.
She
and she
absolutely does.
and she's the one that called the security also. She was like, come on, come out there. So like it was just so hilarious, and he had no idea what to do with it. But he's going to keep going, and then the next place they're going is to New Hampshire,
Hmm.
where Nikki Haley is doing much better because that is an electorate that isn't filled with insane evangelicals in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So she might have a chance, especially since Chris Christie dropped out, who is, from my standpoint, basically the only Republican in that race that had even a modicum of sanity, that was
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't like
relatively
him, but
normal.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he wasn't the most insane person
yeah,
out
I know, right?
out of the bunch.
That's the standard.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, no, and so we'll see what happens out of there. It's going to be, I think, in about is it the 23rd or something like that. So we'll have to see how that goes. But here's the thing: even if Nikki Haley somehow wins that or does really well there, all the other states are not like New Hampshire. They're not filled with, because like in New Hampshire, independents can vote in New Hampshire
Yeah.
in the Republican primary. So but almost none of the other states have that. So basically, it would just be like a dream, basically a mirage, if she does well up. But hey, I mean, anything that makes Trump look bad, I suppose, I'm in favor of that, because I mean, the reality is he only did get 51% of the vote in the Iowa caucuses. So it's basically, in some sense, that's a good thing, right? That half of the people who showed up at this thing were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to vote for him. But
I
then, of
mean, I
course,
also
I'm sure
wonder,
they'll
like,
vote
how
for
many
him
people
later.
showed up? Like, do we know the turnout? Because they said it was bigger than 2020, but less than 2016, I think, is
I think it was
what it was.
100,000 roughly. Yeah. So, and they had like 180,000 in 2016. So
That's
a
pretty
lot lower.
low, right?
Yeah.
100,000 people statewide voted? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
No. Yeah, and voted in their paper bags. Then
Yeah.
another absurd situation that America has been dealing with is that the Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin had been in the hospital for at least a week, and for 3.5 of those days, so he's out now finally. For three and a
Mhm.
half of those days, he did not tell Joe Biden that he was in the hospital for cancer surgery. Um, like like, this is one of those stories you hear, and it's almost unbelievable. Like, can you imagine any person who has a
Not
job
telling
and
your
a
boss you're in
boss?
the hospital.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to be in the hospital. Like, yeah, not
I
saying
will
that. Like, what the hell?
yes, I do think it's absurd, but I will give him a little bit of, leeway, I guess, because I think it's just a thing of men of that generation of like, "Oh, I'm gonna go die in the woods alone." Like, I know if my dad could, because my dad is, in treatment right now for prostate cancer, also the same thing, like, early, and I think a lot of men of that generation have prostate cancer. It's from what I've heard. Anyway, I can imagine most men of that generation being like, "I'm just gonna deal with it myself." Like, if they address it at all. Like, if my dad wasn't living with my mom, he would have been like, "What? I'll just tough it out. Cancer will go away." Like, there's no fucking way. There's no way he'd be in treatment. He skips radiation now because he just doesn't feel like it some days. So I'm like, okay, I get the pride, I guess, of that generation not wanting to
I
let
guess,
people
but
know that
man,
they're sick.
yeah, no, like, and Biden, I mean, like, if I was the president and my Secretary of Defense did that shit, like, he would
Mhm.
be fired in a
Yeah.
minute. But Biden, yeah, has not fired this guy, and maybe he's
I
just waiting for
mean,
him to get done with the treatments. I don't know what, but
I
like,
do think
because it
in
looks
the
bad, yeah, to
it
fire
looks
someone.
bad, but it looks bad, but in the grand scheme of, like, all of the infractions, that could happen in the department. I feel like that's a lower level one for me. I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not a good
Well,
look.
no, it isn't. And I guess maybe they ought of maybe he should have just set up an AI version of himself to answer his
Mhm.
emails. um, but
Yeah.
but speaking of that, though,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
comedy world has been, I don't know, like kind of shocked over the past couple of weeks or so with this video that came out of an AI, supposedly AI generated George Carlin
Oh,
special.
it's so bad. What's funny to me is that watching the video, and I didn't watch the whole thing because I didn't wanna get it. I felt like I could do that or put my head in the microwave for an hour and it would be the same. But it's so bad because there's all these AI generated images throughout, but none of them are George Carlin. It's all like all these
Mhm.
other characters they've made up, so that's already a weird choice, and then listening to it, there's no jokes. He's just complaining about the state of the world, and it's weird that it's his voice. It's I it's nonsensical, and I think I mean, Kelly Carlin, his daughter, um, is considering suing this company that did this, or the people that did it, and I gotta agree with her because, like, you can't use his name and, like, attach that like it's his body of work. How is that any different than somebody else stealing his material, you know?
Mhm.
I think that that's no different than, like, Pepsi putting his face on products and not saying. It's just you're driving traffic to yourself, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I have to say, like, I was very skeptical, to be honest, that that was entirely AI generated.
Mhm.
Because after I saw this, I went into Chat GPT and asked it to write me some George Carlin stuff, and it was just awful.
Mhm.
I mean, it was
So
so much
bad.
worse than even this "I'm Glad I'm Dead" special, which I have to give them props for a good title for that. At least they got that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That was pretty decent.
But yeah, I mean, and it's just like, I don't know, like I don't know how she could sue for that though. Like, it's his likeness, I suppose, and
Yeah.
there's publicity rights or something, but
I
I
think
don't
if
know.
they make money off of it, I also wonder if so there was that Supreme Court case last year, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically like a photographer. There was a photo of Prince, and then another artist took that photo and kind of like they altered it somewhat and then made that into their own art or their own merchandise or something. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the details of the case exactly, but basically they decided that it's not okay for you to repurpose art. And I think that that was a bad decision because I think you
Mhm.
should be able to take like an image of Mickey Mouse, let's say, and alter that and make it like I mean, that's essentially what Andy Warhol was doing. He was taking branded content and making like screen printed art out of it. So it's like with the way the Supreme Court decision went, to my understanding, Campbell's Soup could have stopped Andy Warhol from making those prints, or Marilyn Monroe could have stopped Andy Warhol from making those prints. And I don't think that is good for art.
Mhm.
So, but I
Yeah,
think
there
that
was something
maybe that
about
decision could help Kelly Carlin in this instance.
yeah, and there was something about you remember that famous Obama Hope poster?
Yeah.
This guy who did that. It was actually he copied a AP photo, and
Mhm.
uh the AP sued him actually for that, for his poster. And settled it actually.
Oh.
But yeah, no, it was a bit of a thing, and actually well, while he was being sued by them, he actually got he was tampering with the evidence, and got sentenced, convicted of tampering with the evidence. So I don't know, like,
Oh, I
yeah,
missed that entirely.
I did too, yeah, and like so it was a kind of weird seeing that coming back. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, people, like people are always going to be trying to look for ways to make money off of other people's shit. Like that's what this comes down.
Always, always. And I'm no different. I'm always trying to scheme and scam and
Yeah. Well, so I guess. Oh, so I guess we'll expect you to be coming out with George Carlin.
yeah. Yeah, you just wait. I'm gonna redo all of Joan Rivers stuff. I'm gonna repurpose it somehow. I do think here's something I've been saying. There's no way for us to do this, but I do think once you have a certain number of uh, criminal allegations against you, like Louis C.K. or Bill Cosby, I think all of your material should be given back to all comics. Like, I think Louis's material should be up for any woman that wants to take it. Bill Cosby should be up for any woman that wants to take it.
Well,
I think steal all of their stuff. I feel like that would be the one thing. Comics are so psychotic about their material, myself included. I feel like that would be the one thing that would get Louis to stop jerking off in front of people. If the whole thousands of comics just took his material and were like, what are you going to do about it? You going to come after all of us? Fuck you. That would make him go away.
Well, that would be whatever it takes, man.
If
So,
only.
but I guess speaking of making someone go away, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is he's facing a mutiny once again
I
of
love
the
it.
far right members they're mad at him for striking a deal with Democrats on the federal budget. Just exactly the same thing that Kevin McCarthy did. Like these people, they really are. They are in this, insane, evil version of Groundhog Day. And they all keep living the same story, and none of them ever does anything different.
This is the thing, and they've also like whipped all of themselves up into this frenzy, and they've created this situation for themselves because they've
Yeah.
they've molded their base and their everybody in the right to be these psychos that won't, what's the word I'm looking for? They won't come to agreement with
Compromise.
anybody on
Yeah.
they won't compromise on anything.
Mhm.
And then they're like surprised that these people don't compromise. It's like you've been pushing them to not compromise. So that includes you. This is
Yeah.
your problem.
No, it's like, literally Congress only has to do like two things in the Constitution. They have to pass the budget and they have to confirm nominees. And that's it. That's really all they actually have to do. And so, but that's the thing, like the entire Republican Party is basically, it's an entertainment thing. It's this weird, show basically. And that's all they do. And so they got away from the one thing they have to do in the House. And it's just hilarious. Like if you would think any sane person would be like, okay, number one, I'm not going to be the House Speaker because you guys are there. But let's say you did that, decided to do it. You would, they have this thing where you can have one person can vote to vacate the Speaker of the House, one person, and like it just basically makes them continuously at risk of losing. And when Nancy Pelosi, when she came back to be the Speaker, she was like, okay, we're getting rid of that rule, and she did, and nobody could pull that on her. But the Republicans, they put it back. They put it back, and it's like, you guys are so fucking dumb.
They're so dumb.
And I'm glad because their viewpoints are so crazy and so extreme that if they were not so dumb, like it would be a problem for this country.
Yeah, that's our only barrier between where we are now and a worse place is them being
Yeah,
stupid.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Speaking of the stupidest people on the right, I love Mike Lindell because he is an insane person and he is so fun to watch. So apparently Fox News won't let him advertise My Pillow anymore because he has not paid for any ads since August of 2023. I think that's pretty fair of Fox News for them to just now cut him off, 4 or 5 months later, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Of course you
Yeah.
can't advertise on there. That's how that works, my guy. And I think he's just out of money.
Yeah, well, it's it's really stunning, yeah, that he hasn't paid his attorneys. He had a lot of his attorneys quit on him. But he is so nuts. And I will say, actually, I have talked to Mike Lindell. I've interviewed him for a news story.
God
I have
bless
his
you.
phone number.
And we will be blasting that out for Patreon subscribers. What if that was
uh,
what if we just do a Patreon and for the subscribers for $100 a month, you get all these psychos phone numbers.
hey, that is a way to make money off of other people's work.
Look at that. And it feels morally sound because I came up with it.
Yeah, you know what though, and he really is as crazy in private as he is in public. Like this is not an act on his part. He really believes all this shit. Absolutely.
Look, I'm not trying to shame addicts, but if you're a former meth addict, chances are you're missing some marbles. I don't think your brain fully recovers after injecting battery acid into your veins. I don't think it works like that.
Yeah. But and it's just like, but here's the thing, like 60%, there was a poll that just came out that said 60% of Republicans believe that Joe Biden did not win fairly. So like Mike Lindell is really not that far removed from most of them, seems like.
Yeah, he's fucking cuckoo.
Yeah.
In more fun news, this is silly. I wonder who's driving this. The feds want to ban jokes on highway signs. And I will tell you, that is the only thing that gets my attention. Like, there's one that said, I think it said, like, windshields hurt.
Oh, hold on. You buffered there. You got to say that again. And you can look it up.
I will say
sorry.
the only thing that gets me to look at these highway signs are the jokes, like "buckle up, windshields hurt," or there's one in Ohio that says "OHI," whoa, watch your speed. Like, those are the things that are going to get people to pay attention. If it's just like "buckle up, asshole," like that's not. I don't know. I don't understand what the jokes are hurting. Who cares? Lighten up.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I read the story, and one of the things that they were concerned about was that there were some people were making references on signs that no one had any idea what they were. So, like to the movie A Christmas Story, that they had something like it was something like driving too fast will put your eye out or something like that, and
Who
so
cares if somebody doesn't get it? Is that exclusionary? They can
I don't think it
understand
is.
losing an eye in an accident, regardless of whether or not it's caused by a Red Ryder BB gun.
Well, that was in one sense, I can see, well, okay, fine, you shouldn't be too specific on the references. But even then, yeah, like as you said, like telling people it's dangerous to go too fast. Yeah, I think anybody can get that, even if they don't understand the joke.
Oh, it's so dumb. It's also like, this is the thing, and I say this about so many things. This is really our focus right now. Finish the
We solved
construction
all
on
our
all the
problems.
fucking roads. Yeah, what it's also like, if you're banning road signs, how about banning the billboards that flash and they're basically television? I mean, there's one in
Oh, yeah.
Los Angeles. It's off of it's near like where the 110 and the 405 meet. I can't remember the exit. It's an exit off of the 405. And there's an enormous, when you exit, enormous billboard. The lights are absolutely blinding and it literally plays full commercials. I'm like, that when they talk about don't distracted driving is bad and you can get into an accident, I'm like, You're blasting television onto the freeway exit. What are you talking about? That should be illegal. That is crazy to me. So banning
Yeah,
jokes when it's like a quick one-liner, get out of town.
I agree. I agree. Um, well, in better news, the Emmys were this week, and Elton John has completed the rare achievement of getting the EGOT by getting an Emmy.
Hmm.
So now he's gotten his Emmy and Grammy and Oscar and Tony. So congrats
And now
to
he
Elton.
can retire. Yeah. You reached the top of the mountain, my guy. That's great. Good for him. I love Elton John. That's a concert I would love to see if somebody wants to buy me tickets because I can't drop $500 to see Elton John or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I guess the other funny thing out of
I love this.
the funniest thing out of the night though was
Hmm.
Roy Wood, the former Daily Show correspondent. So he and a bunch of the Daily Show staff
They
and
won for best
creators.
comedy variety. So they all went up on stage together
Mhm,
because you only get, they're not handing out everyone's statues all at once. They just hand out the one for the
mhm,
telecast and then you get yours later. And he was standing behind Trevor Noah and looked into
mhm.
camera and mouthed, "Please hire a host." And it's really funny because he tweeted afterwards because people were blowing it up, and I'm sure he was just joking, but he was like, "Hey guys, stop blowing up my spot. That was supposed to be a secret." But it's like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they haven't landed on a host yet. And I have
Mhm.
heard rumors from friends on the show of the direction the show wants to go. I personally think they should have immediately made him the host. He's the funniest person on the show. He's one of the funniest people in the country. He's probably my favorite comic working right now. The fact that they had him and let him slip away is psychotic. Comedy Central doesn't know what they're doing, and they're going to be gone soon. And I would still like to work with them, please, guys.
Yeah, no, it's weird because yeah, like the Trevor Noah, he stepped down in 2022, so they went the entire year of 2023 without a host, and
Hmm.
no sign of getting one now. So yeah, it's just like, I mean, on the other hand, I mean, I guess to some extent, people there's the problem is that there's so many people that are doing this concept now, and
Hmm.
so the ratings for the Daily Show have just gone, really low, and so the market's gotten really oversaturated. I feel like, and because I mean, doing stuff like that, it's not that difficult as it turns out. I mean, hell, we're kind of like that, a very very low budget version
Hmm.
of.
Yeah.
So, but Roy Wood's welcome over here anytime he wants. So.
Yeah, I love him and he could be on any show I'm on always. He's the greatest and a good guy. So for anyone listening, just so you know, not a fucking weirdo or a creep. Just really solid dude.
Yeah, and then I guess in other kind of very very weird, much weirder news,
This
eBay.
is
Wow.
bizarre.
Yeah. Well, why don't you say it? Go ahead.
This is the most bizarre thing. I was reading this. Okay, so eBay has been hit with a $3 million fine after they were found to be terrorizing innocent people. And I thought, what the hell could that possibly mean? And here's some of the things that former eBay employees harassed this couple. They quote, turned their world upside down in a never ending nightmare of menacing and criminal acts. Some things they did were they sent anonymous and disturbing deliveries, such as a book on surviving the death of a spouse, a bloody pig mask, a fetal pig with a funeral wreath, and live insects. They also posted a series of Craigslist posts. They also published a series of Craigslist posts inviting the public for sexual encounters at the victims' homes. What? This says
Yeah.
they called it an unprecedented stalking campaign. I don't understand how people have the time. How did these people wrong you to the point where you were doing this? This is
Yeah.
psychotic.
Yeah. No, it really was. And it was led by the company's former senior director of safety and security. That's who was doing this.
I feel
And
crazy even reading this.
no, it is. Yeah, it's like, this is like the Yelp review from hell or something.
Yeah,
uh,
no shit.
it's a story you definitely got to read it. I mean, it's you just look at it and it's like, wow.
Well, and also,
um,
like, how did these people get these jobs at such a huge company if this is
mhm.
something they're capable of doing to people?
Well,
What
and
on
then
earth?
just can continue doing it and think they would get away with it. It's just like
Mhm.
you're that because they were having all in name like named interactions with them also that were hostile. So it's like obviously if there's any motive here, it's with these yourself. It was just the
Mhm.
way they did it was just so dumb, and it's just like I don't know, it's just incredible, but very hilarious. It was
Very
7 people that
hilarious.
were involved in this, and so, but and no, so the company got charged, but also, several of the people who were doing the acts actually got sentenced, to prison. So, like, it's just it's just amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. In charming news, to wrap it up with just something sweet, and I love this story. Emma Stone has
Mhm.
apparently tried out for Jeopardy every year and hasn't made it, and she refuses to go on Celebrity Jeopardy because it's notoriously a lot easier because,
Mhm.
I think the show assumes celebrities are dumb, but more importantly, because they want them to be able to win a bunch of money for charity. So that's the whole purpose of Celebrity Jeopardy because these people aren't getting the payouts, and Emma Stone wants the money. I'm kidding. She said she wants to quote earn her stripes because she just loves the show so much and watches every night.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's really sweet. Let her on, you guys. Let her on.
Yeah, well, and apparently how it works is that they have a website and you can go on there and take the test and you can only take it once per year, and
No.
she just hasn't gotten through it. So yeah, too bad. But yeah, people like her and I think they want to see her. So, but we'll see if
Yeah.
Jeopardy will
She's
let her.
adorable. She's a great actress. Let her on. What's the problem? You got all these it would can you imagine the ratings they would get for that show? It's a bunch of weird dorks that have their shirt half sideways, like for the most part. I mean, I say that and I have a friend who was a big person on Jeopardy. So you're not a weird dork, Brad. But these other
Yeah,
people.
well, yeah. No, I think people would definitely, yeah, they would definitely, because I mean, ever since Alex Trebek left, I think the show's ratings have and buzz has just gone way downhill. And hell, it could make her be the new host because I don't think they have one right now, do they? Or I don't
Yeah,
know.
no kidding.
I haven't watched it in forever, so I have no idea.
I watched it and but I don't pay that close of attention. I mean, I know Ken Jennings has been hosting. I don't know how long his contract is, but I remember he was hosting because I was very frustrated, as were a lot of people, that he crossed a picket line to work there because it was during the strikes. And that's why Mayim Balik, however you say her last name, Blossom.
Mhm.
That's why she dropped because she didn't want to cross a picket line because she is an upstanding person and he is not,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah, I
Anyway,
guess
fuck you, Ken Jennings.
not. That's right. And they
Unless
can
you want to
make
come
them
on
a.
this show. That's how you
There
redeem
we go.
yourself.
There we go. All right. Well, that's it. We've gotten to the end of the internet here for everybody. So
All that happened. So if you think some other news happened last week, think again. It did not.
didn't. So yeah. All right. Well, you got anything coming up you want to tell people about, or
I do. This weekend, Thursday the 18th, I am in Flagstaff, and I will be headlining a place called Forum Bar, FORAM Bar and Grill and Nightclub, and that show is at 7:30. And then Friday, Saturday, I am in Glendale, Arizona, headlining Stir Crazy Comedy Club. There are 4 shows. 7 o'clock and 9:30, both nights. Tickets are available at the door for all of those. They're available online for Stir Crazy as well as at the door. I've got a couple really funny friends coming out for guest spots on all 5 shows, and so you'll get to see me and other hilarious people. So get tickets and come out.
All right. Yes, get on that, guys. All right. Well, and make sure to follow at Doomscroll Show on all of your favorite social network places. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. So that's it. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.